Sometimes, though, grieving is actually grudging. Grudging is kind of inappropriate grieving. We're hanging on to injustice that somebody else has done to us. It's not necessarily the loss of a loved one as much as it is violated expectations, and we've been hurt and through a gross unfairness to us by somebody else. And so we grudge. Interesting, though, that our body treats grieving and grudging about the same. So all the physical responses that we've talked about to grieving, increased heart disease, higher blood pressure, physical problems, confusion because our blood is flowing away from our frontal lobe and into the more primitive parts of our brain, digestive problems, on and on and on. All of the physical problems that happen with grieving for a short period of time also happen with grudging. So when we grudge, we're holding on to somebody else's unfairness and pain towards us, and it has a negative effect on our body. How do we do that? Well, fascinatingly enough, sometimes grudges are kept alive not by the actions of other people, but simply because of the stories that we tell inside of ourselves. We tell grudging stories. That is, that we're going to repeat over and over in our head the unfairness that has happened to us, so that we develop a narrative that we tell ourselves repeatedly. What makes it more solidified in our brain is the fact that we tend to tell that grudge story to a number of people. There's a business study where they found that if you go to a restaurant and you like the food, you're more likely to tell 5 people that you really enjoyed it. If you go to a restaurant and you have a negative experience, you're more likely to tell, on average, about 17 people. When we are unhappy, we tell more people. Again, the problem is that when we grudge, when we feel like we've been hurt, we tell more people. That repeats the story, and it begins to cement in our mind and in our head our unfairness and how poorly we've been treated. Our amygdala back in our brain doesn't know the difference between legitimate threat and grieving and grudging. Every time that we repeat that grudging story, the effect on the body is that it releases more stress chemicals, and it affects us every time we tell the story. In fact, even research has also found that even if we're just thinking about that unfairness, that hurt that was done to us, the body responds with all the stress chemicals, and it does it pretty instantaneously. In other words, when we grudge, when we tell the grudging story, we keep ourselves in a state of continual pain and stress, and in a state that is hurting our body, and also then hurting us emotionally, because the emotional effect of telling a constant grudging story in our life, I believe, is that it puts us continually in a victim place. Put it in a place where other people have control over us and we have a little less control over our life. We've been hurt somebody else's actions, and who's to know who might hurt us in the future? Somebody was bad like that, other people might be bad. So the effect of telling and living and completing on a constant basis that narrative of grudging means that we put ourselves in a place where we have been victimized. When we victim ourselves, we create two worlds, two groups of people out there that we have to watch for. Number one, if I'm a victim, I have to, first of all, look for somebody who may rescue me. They're smarter, they can do something, they can fix something that I can't. They're going to rescue me in some way and take care of me, because I have a sense of helplessness to those people that have done me the injustice. at the same time as I'm looking for rescuer, I'm also running from perpetrators, those that are going to hurt me in some way. And they're going to inflict more pain on me. Very simply, it's easy to spot when I'm looking at somebody, are they a rescuer, are they a perpetrator? The rescuer is going to be nice to me. The rescuer is going to say yes to me. The rescuer will try and step in and do things for me. The perpetrator is going to be mad at me, going to be angry at me, may try and hurt me, may try and repeat things, understands that they can take advantage of me. So I spend all of my life as a victim, if I'm living in that grudging place where I'm holding on to this, looking for rescuers and hiding from perpetrators and hoping that rescuers will rescue me from the perpetrators. And the problem with rescuers and perpetrators is that a rescuer can very, very quickly become a perpetrator. All they have to do is begin to say no or get mad at me, and then they're like every other person that's hurt me, or certainly the ones that have done me the injustice. A grudging narrative in our life is guaranteed to make our life miserable.